That should be everything. Now we should have everybody in there. You've been sick all week and dealing with migraines? Oh my gosh, you guys, it's sickness week. I was not aware that we were having sickness week. Somebody should have told me, but nobody did. So, well, anyway, welcome in, welcome in. Again, feel free to participate as much or as little as you want. If you are new watching the stream or the recording, we are currently, this is our weekly development call. The weekly development call is an opportunity to take everything that we do and make it better. Whether that be our streaming life, a lot of us here are streamers, or our work life, or our relationships, or anything else. Never said they were fun, but if anybody didn't know, they aren't. Fair. Migraines. Migraines. And we are improving our minds right now. We're going through the book Mind Shift. It doesn't take a genius to think like one. This is by Erwin Raphael McManus, who is one of my longtime coaches, mentors, people that I listen to, people that I derive knowledge from. So I'm really excited to be able to share his brand new book with this group and talk to you a little bit about they're a real pain. Migraines are a real pain. Talk to you guys a little bit about what's going on in that book. So, that being said, let's talk about Mind Shift number 1, guys. Mind Shift number 1 in the book is uh, it's all about people. Mind Shift number 1, it's all about people. So, let me throw it out to you guys. And again, I know that there are some of you who are maybe not able to super interact, and that's totally fine. But for anybody who did have some insight or had some takeaways from the chapter, I want to hear what you had to say. Oh, by the way, for those of you who are watching, maybe on the Twitch channel, I see there are a couple of you out there, or for those of you who might be, feel free to throw your insights into chat in Twitch as well. We've currently got people over on a call on our Discord server, which is known as the Friendship. You can do !Discord, and that'll get you an invite to that server if you're not already a part of that. We do this on a weekly basis every Thursday, and along with some other stuff that I'll talk about at the end of our session today, that we're going to be starting along the developmental lines as well. And yeah, for those of you who are in the Discord, of course, I'm able to read the chat there too. Let's see. They especially suck because it's not just your head. I'm prone to what's called cluster headaches. Yes, hard to tell if it was a migraine or one of those terrible things. Yeah, that's rough too, Emily. I know. Patch, my wife. New glasses, Laz. No, same glasses, but welcome in, Laz. Good to see you, my friend. Very good to see you. Orange is the color of optimism, right? So the reason that we use orange around my house is when you see orange, it's a reminder to be optimistic. It's a reminder to assume the best, to have faith that we can overcome, and to go out there and be positive about the world. So when you see orange, just know Orpheus is thinking optimism. I stole that from Simon Sinek. He's a great writer of other books too, but we won't get into Sinek. Maybe we'll do him in a later get together. But first, I want to hear what you guys thought. So, for those of you who read Mind Shift number 1 this week, what were some things that came to mind? What stuck out to you when you heard that the first mind shift that we can make to make our lives better is to recognize that it's all about people? What are some things that came to your mind when you read this? Anybody have anything? I see typey types. Let's see. Also, Orpheus, I see you on mute. If you're talking by chance, you cannot hear me. Oh, yeah, I've been talking for a while, guys. All of my sound. Oh, yeah, totally. How funny. And now you should be able to hear me. Yay. There we go. Sorry, guys. So I opened all my stuff up, both OBS and Discord, and everything was set to default instead of the normal settings that I have everything on. It was all set back to default. Okay, good. You can hear me. Awesome. Well, hey, so I was just saying, let's jump into the book that we're going to talk about Mind Shift number 1 this week, which is It's All About People. And I was just asking for those of you who read Mind Shift number 1, give us a little bit of insight. What resonated with you? What stuck with you when you read the thing that says it's all about people?
That the strongest resource you have in your life is the people around you, not things.
Yeah, absolutely true. Very true. Do you so let me ask you this. Do you find that to be true?
Absolutely.
And so give me an example of like how you find that to be true or when you have found that to be true. Like how does that truth show up in your life?
Literally you.
you
You,
you
my
mean like
wife.
the sheep?
Yeah. No, you as a person, you've helped me out a lot. You're a good, in a weird way of saying it, a resource. Um, my wife, she's very important. Way more important than any game, item, computer, whatever I have.
Awesome. Awesome point. Good, good, good. Anybody else out there have a perspective on why people are so important? Why people are the most important thing?
I think um I think for me, people are important to me because they add value to my life in a sense of um I come from a background of someone who has clinical depression, anxiety, things along those lines. So like I'm always either in a state of like sadness, I'll call it. I know it's like a broad term, but like either I'm worrying too much about what's going on or worrying too much about what's going on in the future, or I'm living in the past. And so I noticed that if I surround myself with more people, it forces myself to be more present and be more like in the moment. And so whenever I am like, I'll just use Rob for example because he's the one that I'm around the most. It forces me to be here, not worrying about what's going on over there or, reminding myself about what happened this time or, whatever. I find that if I'm around people, um, than my own personal thoughts, it allows me to be present and live without any sort of fear or any other sort of negative connotating emotion. So
That's that's amazing insight, Emily. That's it's so important to recognize that, right? That people are other people often provide us with insight into the moment that we're in. And sometimes they provide us with escape out of the moment that we're in as well, because sorry, I'm just pumping my mic up a little bit. I see it's a little low. You may have to turn me down in Discord, sorry, because I just turned myself up a little bit. But um the thing about that is, and I will tell you from my standpoint, right? I'm a person who a lot of my life I've also struggled with depression. I have struggled with anxiety. I've struggled with a lot of self doubt and things like that. And I know that if you've only known me for like the last year, you're like, wait, who is that guy? Um, because a lot of times now I've created some frameworks that allow me to kind of help me get out of those places. I've found the places where I can find help for those. But I will tell you, like that's most of my history. Mitch checking in. We'll be here. Don't want to be rude and join in Discord. You can join in wherever you want, Mitch. You join in wherever you have time to join. This is for you. It's not for me. It's for you. So, but thank you for being here, Mitchy D. Um, so here's what it is. One of the things that I discovered was that when I was in a state of depression, I couldn't get out of bed. I didn't want to do anything. I was unmotivated. I was procrastinating. When I was in a state of anxiety, I was worried about the things that were going to happen, what was going to happen next, if I was going to have everything that I needed, if I was going to get everything done that I needed to do, if I was going to meet that deadline, if I was going to hit that goal. When I was worried, when I got to the point where those things became paralyzing, I discovered that the only way out of those traps was to take my focus off of myself and put it on other people. The only way for me to climb out of the pit of despair and of internalization and of just spiraling downhill was to get out and serve other people, to try and find someone else that I could pour some love into, that I could pour some service into, that I could put some attention into. And those things help me climb out of those very very dark places. So I love to hear you with that insight because I think that's so significant. I think it's such an important step for people who deal with those things that a lot of times they just, you know, they just don't know where to go, and they're looking for that what's going to be that silver bullet. Is it going to be therapy? Is it going to be self-love? Is it going to be whatever, right? And I believe that silver bullet, it's not a silver bullet. It's not going to cure your depression or your anxiety or anything like that. But that thing that will get you moving when you don't feel like moving, that thing is people. And that's why I like this mindset, this mind shift so much. And there's a fly in here, which is determined to ruin everything in my life. So that's amazing. Uh, so if you see me batting around here, it's not because I've gone crazy. It's because there's a fly in the room. Anybody else have any insight that they wanted to share into just general insights before I start to like dig into some of the things that really stuck out to me? Mitch says, I just disassociate and ignore the pit. I mean, it's good too. So, there's a certain degree to which you can be able to say, well, you know what? I'm just not gonna let myself get there. Everybody's Hey, guitar. Thank you. Thank you for being present and thank you for the 9 months. Happy Hey, we have a Twitch baby now, guitar. So I guess it's Gitorpheus. We'll call our Twitch baby Gitorpheus. How about that? That sounds amazing.
Gorpheus.
Gorpheus. I like that too. That's good too. But thank you so much for that, friend. We're just talking about mind shift number 1, which is it's all about people, right? And we're also talking about sometimes when we get trapped in webs of depression or anxiety and we don't know what the next step is or we don't know what moves us towards action. And I was saying for me, this mind shift is really resonant. And Emily kind of came into this same space too. For us, it's really resonant because for us, when we come to a place where we're unable to move, what moves us is other people, whether it's just being present with people who are able to, through empathy, are able to lift our spirits to a place where we're able to move, or sometimes just saying, hey, I'm going to move in service of these people because that's going to take my brain off of myself and my own internal state. Head of Steel says, the point about reading this book might mean you have a type A personality. I don't think that applied to me. What's a type A personality? So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you here, Head of Steel. Erwin, he definitely has the most amazing communicator that I've ever met, one of the highest thinkers that I've ever experienced in my life. But he definitely does come at things from his own perspective, right? So when he says, if you're reading this book, you might be you're probably a type A personality, or you have a type A personality. What he's saying is you're a person who's highly motivated to be successful. That's kind of the way he's thinking about it. You're a person who's highly motivated to be successful, to not let things get in your way, and to attain your highest self or your highest calling. A lot of people take a type A personality and they say, oh, that means that you're hyper competitive, super competitive. And I think even Erwin would talk about how there's a healthy amount that if you're a super success driven person, there's probably some competitiveness in your makeup. And I mean, most of us here, we're almost all gamers here. So there's some competitiveness in our makeup, right? But the way I see it is you don't necessarily have to be a super competitor to want to excel, to want to be your best, to want to be, your highest person. And so that's how I'm reading it is. If you're reading this book, it's because you think that there's something better and you want to step into that thing. You're someone to take criticism as well, not someone to read it and be like, that isn't me, I don't care, yada, yada. That's true. That's one of the most important things about development. I was just writing about this today, as a matter of fact. I was writing about the fact that if you want to be successful, or even you can take the language of success out of it. I know that's super common. But if you want to be better than you are now, if you've got a goal and you want to achieve that goal, then you want feedback. And I'll even go so far as to say criticism, right? Because critical thinking is the type of thinking that we apply to problem solving. And so, see, I grew up in an atmosphere where, and I think at a time where it was really popular to say, hey, don't be critical of people. Don't be critical. But critical thinking is problem solving thinking. And so if you want to be better, you're going to invite some degree of criticism. You're going to get it whether you invite it or not. Once you start to succeed, once you start to get better, once you start to improve, once you start to step into a place that's bigger than the place you were in, you're going to get some criticism. Some of it's going to be jealousy. Some of it's going to be people saying, "Wait a minute, you're outreaching your grasp." Some of it's going to be that. But some of it is going to be people around you saying, "Hey, what you're doing is not the best way to do this." And it's those moments that we need to listen. And we need to think about, wait, is there an error here? Is there something I need to change? And this is why people are so vitally important as well. You can buy that. I'm glad. Criticism might have a negative connotation, but it's not. Criticism is only negative if you do it with malicious intent. Completely agree, Emily. Could not possibly have said it better myself. It is the intention behind it. And to be honest with you, sometimes even criticism that does come in with negative intent is valuable. We've got to build a place for ourselves that says, what other people say about me, what those people are saying about me, it doesn't define me. I'm not defined by that. And I don't have to be affected by it either. Because there's going to be haters, right? There's going to be people who are going to come in. You're going to, at some point, you're going to read the comments in the YouTube section. And you're going to feel a certain way about yourself because of that. But we have to build a place for ourselves where we don't feel a certain way about it, but where we are capable of looking through it and saying, is there truth here? Because if you want to be in pursuit of what's best for your life, you have to be in pursuit of the truth. Whatever that is. Right? And so even those meanest comments, even those meanest YouTube comments, there's truth in there someplace sometimes. And we have to be wise enough to know the difference between when it is and when it isn't. Positive criticism can be used as a tool. This is Mitchie D, to move yourself forward. I'd be like, they're right. I could be better and change some aspect for the better. 100%, Mitch. 100%. And that's why when we talk about feedback, you got to be all in on feedback. If you want to succeed in anything in life, and again, I don't care if we're talking about your streaming. I don't care if we're talking about your job. I don't care if we're talking about your relationship. Whatever it is in life, if you want to get better at it, you have to be all in on feedback. And the reason for that is because your perspective is limited and my perspective is limited. No matter how much I want to tell myself, no. I'm self-aware. I know what's going on. I can see everything around me. No matter how much I want to tell myself that, the fact of the matter is my perspective is limited. And one of the reasons I believe so much in diversity, one of the reasons I believe so much in bringing teams together to accomplish things, and one of the reasons that's professionally where I've dedicated a lot of my life is to building teams, is because I believe that any organization, company, group, or even person is only as strong as the variety of perspectives and experience they bring to the table. And that means people. It's all about people. Let's see. There was a time in my life when someone tried to negate my character to other people. I had to remind myself that even though their intent was malicious, I had to trust that the people who knew me really knew me. Yes, good. And would come to me if they had questions about it in regards to me. Emily, amazing. Absolutely amazing. So important. So important. I talked about it this last week. One of my coaches said something to me a couple of weeks ago, and he said, You know, in almost every religion, there's this parable, or there's this saying, right? Love your neighbor as yourself, right? Love thy neighbor as thyself. We've all got it, right? Every religion's got some version of this. And he said to me, "You do realize that if you don't love yourself, then you can't do that thing, right? Because it's love your neighbor as yourself. It's conditional that you have to love yourself." And I think that learning to love yourself, I don't always like that. I don't always like that phrasing because I think we get caught up in, oh, I love myself. You know, I'm fine with myself just the way I am. I think it's important to say, I know who I am and to build a strong identity and then say, anybody else who tries to name me otherwise doesn't get to do that. I am a person like me, right? If I'm saying my I am optimistic. I assume the best of people. I believe great things are possible in the world, and I have faith that when there are obstacles, I will find a way to overcome them. I am optimistic. And nobody can look at me and say, no, he's not, right? Because my actions, you know, are going to play that out. And sometimes they won't. But on those days, I'm going to say, I did not do the optimistic thing, but I am an optimistic person, right? There's got to be a separation between the action and the action and the identity. Teams and team building were in a highlight of this chapter. Will be in future chapters. Is that what my neighbor told jerks? I love it. Teams and team building are not necessarily a highlight of this chapter, or really even of the book. This book is kind of written more to you as an individual, Head of Steel. But I will say, if I'm going to put my spin on it, right, Orpheus, Andrew's spin on it, if I'm going to put my personal spin on it, I'm going to tell you that everything is about building teams. Because even the most solo entrepreneur, you know, the self-made person themselves, they're going to tell you that they didn't get places without having people around them. We don't end up places on our own. Sometimes, and we'll this is in the chapter, sometimes the people who are there at the end of the road are not the people who are there at the start of the road. And there's some value to talking about that. But I think it's all about teams. Life is all about teams. Sometimes loving yourself can make you complacent if you love yourself in a narcissistic way. Mitchie, so important that you say that. I'm so glad you brought up the word narcissistic. We'll talk more about that. Have to define it as love yourself in a healthy way. Absolutely. Here's what I think it is. Here's what I think it is. You have to say, at some level, and I believe this about everybody who's here, and I don't know who else is watching, but I believe this is of everybody who's here. I know that you believe that all humans have worth. All humans have value. Everyone, every body, mind, soul on this planet has value. I believe that you believe that. And if you don't, then we'll talk about that later. But I believe that you believe that. And I think that the important thing about self-love is that not that you have to love yourself, you have to be all, again, narcissistic, right? Narcissistic is loving the image of yourself, loving your self-image, right? That's literally what narcissism is. Go back and read the myth of Narcissi, which is where that word comes from. But it's about saying all humans have value, have worth. And then the second statement you have to be able to make to yourself is, I'm human. All human life has value, has worth, and I am human. Therefore, I also have worth. So important. So important to be able to say that to yourself. And what I say, if you're asking for the Orpheus, Andrew, if you're asking for my evolution of that, it is this: love yourself, but then go love somebody else. It's not enough to love yourself. Yeah, you should start there, but you shouldn't stay there for very long. You need to establish your identity, get firm in your identity, and then immediately start loving other people. Because loving other people and serving other people is the path to everything in life. It's the path to love. It's the path to money. Don't take my word for it. I'm not a rich guy yet, but I've done okay on this principle, but there are a lot of people who are in the billions who said, you know what? The amount of work that I do to serve others is very important, is extremely important to my success, right? So loving other people, so important, so important. Letting other people in, so important. I want to go to page 16 real quick. Page 16 of Mindshift says he makes this statement right here. If we don't know what really matters, we will spend our lives accumulating the very things that don't matter, discarding the things that matter most. I'll read it again. I want you to think about this. If you haven't read the book, I want you to let this sink in. This is a big one. If we don't know what really matters, we will spend our lives accumulating the very things that don't matter, discarding the things that matter most. Talk to me about that, guys. That's a mind-blown emoji if I ever saw one. Tell me what that stirs up in your brains.
First thing it makes me think of is if we get rid of things that I blanked. What was it again? I had it.
No, you're good. So if we don't know what really matters, then we spend our lives getting all of the stuff that doesn't matter, and we throw away the stuff that does.
Yeah. So essentially trying to fill your life with immaterial things and putting out things that really could help you in life or that you care about is basically what I got out of that. Sorry, I blanked. You said it and I was like, oh man, I read it too.
No,
It's like
100%.
going and buying a Lamborghini because you got your first $1 million, instead of putting that action forward to say charity work, doing something that brings you joy and can bring joy to others.
So true. So true. Yeah. How do you determine what matters, right? That's the thing. You have to have a system for determining what matters in order to pursue what matters. And I think I'm going to soapbox for a second here. I want you to think about that. So as you're ignoring my soapbox, what I want you to do is I want you to think about what's your system for determining what really matters. And what I will say about it is this. Here's my soapbox. The problem with most people, the reason that most people kind of sit in the middle, they just kind of sit where they're at and they're fine with it, and they never really get better, and they really don't get worse, but they just don't go anywhere, is because they haven't spent any time thinking about what matters. They're living their lives in a reactive state where, you know what, I'm gonna take advantage of money when it comes to me. I'm going to take advantage of a good relationship when it comes to me. I'm going to take advantage of, let's take it to the stream. I'm going to get personal. And I love you guys, and this is speaking to me as well. So I don't want anybody to take this personal, but I'm going to get personal on the streamer front. I'm going to take advantage of that big raid of viewers when it comes my way. Right? We wait for instead of going in pursuit of. And the reason we don't go in pursuit of sometimes is because we haven't taken the time to figure out what matters most. And when we figure out what matters most, usually the path to pursuing that becomes very clear. Mitch says, true joy is bringing others up with you when you hit the next level. Yes, very good. I heard people say it's lonely at the top. It doesn't have to be. Still good, Mitch. And actually, Erwin will discuss that in chapter 3 of this book. So I won't jump ahead to that, but just know you're actually ahead in your thought. I completely agree. It doesn't have to be lonely at the top. There are people at the top. They just may not be the people you expected to be there. I'll
Chapter
give you
3
that.
hit me real hard when I read it. I just want to say that.
You did read ahead?
Yeah, I was listening to it at work.
Nice. Dude, chapter 3 is hard. It's a hard one, but it's true. I've got examples. You'll have examples. Sometimes it can wrap to anxiety with the fears of, does it work? Will I fail? Absolutely. Will I fall? Absolutely. Or fail. Use either word.
The other thing about the fact or the point of, filling life with things essentially is kind of the point that I got from what you said, taking advantage of just things in the moment. I feel like just doing that too wouldn't be fulfilling because it's not, you're just doing things to do them, I guess. instead of actually enjoying them, which I've noticed is something I deal with a lot sometimes, but you know.
I think it also leaves there's no intent in your action. There's, I'll get there when I get there, but there's no intent of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to have this kind of mentality. And as much as I don't want to crap on someone who might have that type of mind frame, but where are you going to get with that mind frame? If you just let life be life, you're going to be on, this ocean of chaos. Life is unpredictable and things happen. And if you don't have some sort of like plan set in place, how can you expect to have a good job, have a family if you want a family? Things along those lines. Like you have to have some sort of planned out process.
And that is so strong, so valuable. And we understand, right, that looks different for everybody. Some people are a little more fluid, some people are like very 5-year plan. I've known people on I know people who have been tremendously successful in life, and again, however you measure that, I measure in a lot of different ways. I consider myself, for example, to be tremendously successful in relationships. And why? Uh, a measure of that is the fact that I've been married to my wife for 26 years. We've been together for 30 years, 31 now. I consider that a measure of that. But more than that, I consider myself to be successful, a successful person in relationship, not just because I have a long lasting relationship, but because I know the quality of the relationship as it exists. And I know the steps that we took. Obviously, it's a relationship. You must understand. I make that assumption, but I know the steps that we took to get here. So it wasn't like we sat down and made a plan. In fact, we went to one premarital counseling thing. I think we even went to counseling one time after. No, before we were married. We went to like one premarital counseling thing, and we walked out of there and we're like, I mean, fine, whatever. Like we at this point we've been together for 5 years. We've worked through a lot of this stuff. Sunshine, of course, it's okay to join. Everybody is always welcome, and welcome in to my friend Heavy Metal Sunshine. I hope you're doing well today. Um, and then one time after we'd been married for, I don't know, we'd been married for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years at this point. And people are calling me on the phone. Got to pause that. So we've been married for several years at this point, and my wife's parents, God bless them, they're amazing. They're amazing folks. I love them, but they're also of a different, era to some degree. And so they sent us to this marriage conference where it was going to be great. We were going to go in there and we were going to work on our marriage. And we went to the first session, and then we didn't go back. And it wasn't because like, oh, we've got it all worked out. We've got it all worked out. But it was because we could quickly see that what they were going to offer us wasn't even in play. It wasn't even in play in the relationship. So I consider myself to be extremely successful in relationship. I've had some success in business. I intend to have even more, right, than I have. All of that I say not to just say, "Hey, I'm successful. Look at me. I'm up here." All of that to say that the reason I consider myself to be successful in any given thing is exactly what Emily said. Because I know how I got to where I got. I know how I ended up where I ended up. I didn't end up here on accident. And if you're ending up in places on accident, then you're not really living. You're just existing. We talked about it last week, right? How to prevent your spouse from cheating, but my spouse isn't cheating. Type of deal. Some of that. You're welcome. Sunshine, it's so good to see you. So good to see you. We're talking about this book, Sunshine. It's called Mind Shift. It's by Erwin, Raphael, McManus. It's called "It Doesn't Take Like a Genius to Think Like One." It's just about 13 different ways that you can change your thinking to change your outcomes, right, or to change your life. And today we're talking about mind shift number 1, which is it's all about people. We've been talking about the ways that it's all about people. I want to move forward a little bit here. Oh, wait, hold on. The other issue with accumulating things is it can be a form of self-pleasure or contentment and not items that advance self. Oh my gosh. So true. You definitely need to read it. Sunshine, hit me up with a DM in Discord. I may have an extra copy that I can send you. And if I don't, we'll figure something out. Um, gosh, that's so good. Have you ever really wanted something? I mean, yes, we've all really wanted something. Have you ever really wanted something and like you've been wanting it for the longest time? You want it, you want it, you want it, you want it so bad, this thing, whatever it is. And then you get it, and then it's not very long before you just don't really care about it anymore. Or you get it and it wasn't the great thing that you thought it was going to be. Do you have that experience? Is this a universal? Is this just an Andrew thing, or is this a universal? Send you
Personally,
a DM
myself,
after.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I feel it all the time. I always get hyped up about stuff, and I overexcite myself and know that it's when I get it, and I'm like, oh, it's not what I wanted.
Me too. Okay, good. I'm glad it's not just me. Sunshine, I'll send you a DM after stream. Might not be able to send. Totally fine. And Sunshine, these are all recorded, and I post the recordings on the Discord. So, and on my YouTube channel. So you'll be able to get the content even if you can't stay. Totally fine. More times than I can count. Yes. And in fact, last week's session is on there as well. So, if you want to catch up with us, you can definitely do. We're going to just a chapter at a time. They're short chapters, so I end up realizing it's not worth it or silly before I get it. That's good. That's good. That's also good sometimes. But sometimes it's like, man, I just really want that thing. It's that one thing that's gonna make everything better or easier or make me happier or whatever else, right? And you just get it, and then it's not, right? It's not. Your 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 finances. I mean, when you're poor, and I've been there, you think, oh, if I just have more money, then I wouldn't have to worry about all this stuff. And it's true. You get more money, and then you don't have to worry about all that stuff. But then you have to worry about all this stuff over here that happened because you got you got more money, more problems, right? It's a truth. And there comes a time when you have to go, okay, wait. It's not the getting money that's fixing things. It's the fact that I have this set of problems and I need to find a solution for that set of problems, right? So just accumulating things is never great. I love his concept of the three different stages. Did you guys love this? The three different stages of life, like the evolution of value, he says. Where when you start as a child, it's a lot about things, right? It's like about things like that new toy, that new thing. I want to get that new thing. I'm going to fight with you over that set of blocks or whatever it is. And then when you move into adolescence, it becomes about experiences. Oh, my first kiss, my first car, my first whatever, right? All of those firsts. It's all about experiences, all about the fun things and the roller coasters and the. I think about the. I think about this in terms of a Disneyland model. Disneyland model. When you're a kid, when you're a small kid, and you go to Disneyland, what do you want? You want an ice cream cone. That's what you want. You want an ice cream cone and a hat that says your name on it, and whatever else, right? Those are the things that you want. You want things. When you get to be an adolescent, I remember my wife talking about the first time she remembers going to Disneyland. She was in middle school, and she was like, "We didn't even look at anything. We just ran through Space Mountain like as many times as we could go." Because it's about experiences. It's about getting that, that pulse rate up. It's about being excited by things. I want to ride all the rides in any theme park. Exactly. Right? Experiences. And it's not that experiences are wrong. Erwin says it. I say it. Like, experiences are it. You give me an experience over a thing any day of the week. Like, this is one of the reasons that when we spend money, when we spend large amounts of money here, we don't spend it on cars. Like, we drive a friggin' 2013 Dodge Journey. It's orange, by the way. We drive a 2013 Dodge Journey. We share it because I'm too cheap to buy a second car. We don't spend money on a lot of things. Our house is pretty modest. This is a nice room, but that's about it. But we spend a ton of money on vacations because experiences are great. But like Erwin says, like, what are the best experiences? The experiences that you get to share with other people. The experiences that I have on my own are not valuable to me, or maybe just very small value. The experiences I get to share with my family, or I get to share with you guys, those are the experiences that are worth everything in the world. Exactly, Mitch. Dodge hype. I know. Let's go. Let's go. But then in adulthood, the way you know the mark of adulthood is what gets important. People get important. People get important. When page 19, when we grasp that life is about people, when we make people our highest priority, this shift becomes the best measure of maturity, wholeness, and health. Talk to me about that. Who do you know that's a grown fill in the blank person, right? Who do you know that's a grown person that's stuck in one of those other stages? You don't have to tell me. I don't want to know their name, but I want you to think about it. Do you know people who haven't figured it out yet?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. And what do their lives look like? When you look at their lives, what do their lives look like?
A lot of anger, a lot of hate, um, a lot of narcissism.
I know people who have like I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to say it. They've put themselves in a situation where they think they're happy, but then they talk about aspirations that they have, and they never do them because they're comfortable in their lives. And I don't want to be that.
Oops, I forgot to turn ads off. I apologize if anybody just got ads in the Twitch. But there you have it. So good, so good, so good. What both of you said. I think that's exactly it. I think that when we don't understand that people are the most important things, and we grow up, and we still believe that experiences or things are the most important things, then we have that experience where like we get that thing and it doesn't bring us joy anymore. And so we say to ourselves, well, why? Like, why pursue anything else? Nothing that I get is going to bring me joy. Eat, sleep, work, game. Right, exactly. Exactly. And then what Emily said, she sees a lot of anger and a lot of those issues. Let me tell you what I see. When I see people who haven't figured out, when they're adults and they haven't figured out yet that people are what's important, that it's not about things, it's not about experiences, that those things are great, but everything boils down to people. What I see is desperation. There is a sad desperation about the lives of those people because they are reaching out for everything. It's like they're drowning in the water, like they're rows on the door, right? And they're reaching out for everything around them. Guitar said chaos, and I think that's it, right? Because they're reaching out for everything around them to try and find something to float on, and they're going under. But there's life preservers everywhere. There's life preservers all around them. They just don't see them because they're not reaching out for the things that are going to save them. So good, so good.
I think also another reference I want to make is someone that I've met in the last 5 years that has become family, is that I feel that he also makes decisions in regards to what helps him right now, or what helps him within the coming weeks, and then eventually comes down to 4, 5, 6, 8 months later, and it's, oh crap, I dug myself into a hole. How do I get out? I backed myself into a corner. Where do I go?
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I was just telling Mitch to never let go because he says he's often just adrift in the ocean of life. Gosh, that's so true. So, Emily, when you think about that person, like, what's their compass? Like, what's their compass point? What's their guiding mechanism?
Their mom, actually, to try to do anything for their mom, to help their mom with someone who their mom shouldn't really be involved around, but it's someone who's important to their mom. So he will try to do his best to, do what's best for her, even if it hurts him or hurts people around him.
Wow, what a good reminder that sometimes we think we're doing things in service of people, but we're really not, right? Because if we're doing things in service of a person that's going to hurt other people, we're not serving people. We're serving some kind of need almost every time. That's me serving some kind of need in myself. I need some acceptance from that person, or I need some approval from that person, or I need something in myself. And so I'm not actually serving people, because if I'm not doing what's best for that person, I'm not even serving that person. In some way, I'm serving myself. I would challenge you guys, when you find yourselves in that situation, you're like, hey, I'm doing this, but I realize I'm trampling on a bunch of other people. Look for what you're looking for in yourself, because there's something inside that's not there that you're missing. I know this again from personal experience, from my own personal experience. I have done this in the past. In the moments that I'm least proud of. That's really good, really insightful. You need to be cognizant, page 21. You need to be cognizant of the fact that when we focus on our goals, the people in our life may go quickly out of focus. He talked about this in the terms of people who had like given up on having relationships because they were in pursuit of whatever their goal was. Usually it's a work thing. He's usually talking about this in terms of entrepreneurs, which again, for the context that we're in here as streamers, we're entrepreneurs, whether you like to think of yourself that way or not. This is a business. If you are an affiliate, if you are accepting money of any kind, you are a business person. So you got to think of yourself like a business person to some degree, at least. It doesn't have to be the focus of everything you do, but you understand what I'm saying. But when we set a goal and we pursue that goal, and that's all we see is that goal, it's really easy for people to go out of focus. Have you ever had that happen? Have you ever experienced that? If not, I will tell you a story from my...
Say that again real quick.
Have you ever experienced being so single-minded in pursuit of a goal that the people in your life went out of focus?
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I do it a lot.
Where does that lead you? Where do you end up?
Usually financial issues and people mad at me.
Kinda sucks, right? It sucks. I'll tell you a story from my life. You guys know I worked with Best Buy for 10 years. I started out as a part-time slinging computer sales and worked my way up to being the general manager of a Best Buy store. And my first job as a general manager was at a store. I went into a store and that store was just completely broken. And I knew it going in, but I got real pumped up by some people and they said, hey, you can go in, you can fix it, you can do this, you're great at managing, you can do this, you're going to be amazing, everything's going to be fine. And I went in to that store and I threw everything that I had into it. I mean, I'm working 6 12-hour days a week, sometimes 7. I moved my family, from where we had lived for years. I moved them to a whole different place where nobody knew anything. I'm putting all these hours in. I remember one time before we moved actually down to, because it was about an hour and a half from where we lived. Before we moved, I remember one time I left work and I couldn't make it all the way home. I had to pull into a rest stop and sleep in the back of my car because that's where it was. Because my goal was, hey, I'm gonna do this. I want to do this thing. I want to be the manager of the store. I want to be the person who fixes this. I want to be that. That's my goal. But all along the way, what I never took into consideration were the people. I didn't take into consideration. I forgot all of the things that I learned about how to build strong teams and about how to build relationships with the people in that store, because I was being told by someone outside, by the management that was above me, I was being told, no, you need to go in and you need to establish this set of things. And I was so focused on that goal of getting the approval from those people and of doing the thing that needed to be done in the store that I ended up just almost completely physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally decimated at the end of that. I mean, I
Can I
was
say something?
yeah, go for it.
In regards to you saying about how, you were following your leadership and stuff and what they were saying, I think also it takes some time to realize the fact that sometimes we trust people in positions that shouldn't almost have that position because they don't exactly always know what's best for us. They just are looking at the best for what's in the best of the mind of the company. So sometimes we have to understand that just because we're getting advice doesn't mean that it's advice for us.
Super important, right? Super important. I'm going to talk to you guys a lot more as we go along. This isn't necessarily in this book. It's some of it's in this book. Some of these concepts are in this book, but I'll talk to you a lot about where you should be getting the feedback that you get, where you should be getting the feedback that you let go in your life. But to end my story briefly, I was listening to the wrong people. I was focused on the wrong things. As a result, we went through a rocky patch in my marriage. Don't worry, nothing crazy happened. But we went through a time when it was hard for us to communicate to each other, which was completely opposite of what we've experienced the rest of our lives, right? Um, I went, I was drunk all the time during this time. Not all the time when I wasn't at work, which given was like 4 hours a day. But it was impossible to have a relationship with me at that point. And I ended up in like the deepest pit of depression and of self-loathing and all of those things that I've ever been in as a result of just not having my eyes on the right thing on the relationships. I moved, just drive the 2 hours every day. I tried that, Mitch. As it turned out, it didn't work for me. No, you're fine for cutting me off. Don't worry about it, please, 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 please. Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. I just agreed with the point. I'm generally quiet. Thank you for the reassurance. It's fine. You could speak up or say as little as you want. This is the safest of spaces. Tal says, I see that through my husband. He's so focused on gaining rank. I asked him not to go into the police force because I don't want to have to worry about him not coming home. But he went into corrections, and all I hear him is complain about work politics. Sometimes the thing we want doesn't make us happy, right? And that's why it's so important to focus on people, because that's the only thing that's ever really going to get us there. We're running short on time. I'm gonna jump to the last thing. I know I'm gonna do two more quotes from the book. I'll do them back to back though. Page 22. When you make the mind shift that it's not all about you, so important, right? Narcissism, it's all about me. Mind shift, it's not all about me. When you make the mind shift that it's not all about you, it's all about the people whose lives change for the better because of you, it's transformational. So, this is a challenge. This is a challenge. You have the chance every time you interact with somebody. We talked about it last week, right? I give Rob a hard time because he said, I'm like, wait, what do you want to do in your streaming life? And he says, I just want to be, have people fun and have people not have to worry about it. I'm like, no, that's not it. That's not it. You say you don't have a mission. You do have a mission. Sorry, I'm going to get up on your business for a second. You say you don't have a mission. You do have a mission. Your mission is to give people a space where they can forget for a minute, where they can breathe for a minute. That's your mission. And it's not about you in those moments. It's about the people whose lives change because of you. And that's a part of your transformation, right? Emily, when you're streaming, it's not about you. It's about the people you're bringing into relationship and into conversation with other people. How many people have I met because Emily introduced me to them? It's not about you. It's about my life changing because of you, and about those other lives being changed as well. I was going to say, what is my mission? Mitch will work on that. We'll work on that. Just because we don't have time to go over everybody in the 3 minutes that we have left, but we'll work on it. We'll get back to it because you do have a mission. You do have a mission, and I'll bet you can even articulate what it is. But that's work we'll need to do. That's the transformation. It's not about you. It's about the lives that change because of you. And last, page 26. If you choose a life of continuous progress, You will lose more people from your life than you will keep. You will find that some people love you for who you are, but not for who you are becoming. This is the price, right? This is the price. Don't listen to my wife. I always listen to your wife is important. Rob is live. Great.
No, don't worry about that. Continue. Finish your thing.
Got it. This is so important. The cost of becoming better, the cost of becoming greater, the cost of stepping into your moment of greatness, it's going to be some relationships. That's just real talk, guys. You're going to lose some friends. Because not everybody who's cheering for you right now is going to cheer for you when you get better. When you give up that thing that you're holding on to, that's, you know, you're doing in that company of people, if it's, you know, if whatever it is, if it's an addiction or if it's just a bad habit, when you give up that thing to get better, you're going to lose those people. Don't let that stop you, because there are people on the other side that need you. Caught you off guard. Nice. My question for you for this week, and again, sometimes we'll go over these, sometimes we won't go over them. Last week's question was, what internal structures have you created for yourself that are keeping you back, that are holding you back, that you're willing to give up? What are you going to give up? This week's question that I have for you to think about, you can respond in the Discord. You can come with your answer next week. You can do whatever you want. But my question for you is, how are you going to be intentional about recognizing the way that you're affecting other people's lives for the better? This week, I want you to go in and I want you to do whatever you do. If it's streaming, if it's not streaming, it's talking, it's chatting in Discord, if it's whatever. How are you going to focus on your impact on other people? Not that everything that you do has to be pointed towards like, hey, let's lift people up, let's get people better. But just how are you going to say, I'm going to observe the way that my interactions with people either lift them up or tear them down. Either lift them up or encourage them to stay where they are, which is, by the way, the same thing as tearing them down. Every time you encourage someone to stay where they are, every time you tell someone, it's okay, you tried your best, instead of, you want to do that thing? I believe you can do it. Every time you do that, you're tearing that person down, because you're not installing in them a sense that they are capable of greatness. I have things I want to do, but I'm stopping myself. Well, at least you recognize you're stopping yourself, Mitch. I'm glad. So I'm gonna end. I'm gonna end there, guys, because we're out of time. Say that question again. So the question, Tal, is, what are you gonna do this week to be intentional about observing the way that you're affecting other people, and whether it's making them better or worse? It might be, for example, it might be keeping a journal, right? Maybe that's dumb. I don't know. Maybe you don't want to do that. But it might be keeping a journal, just at the end of the day, going back and reflecting on the day and going, hey, I had these conversations and this is the way I showed up. And you know what? I think I made a positive impact, or I made no impact, or I don't know what impact I made, which is totally fine also. It's better to say, I don't know, than to make something up to yourself, because you never learn that way. But I'd be really interested to see you kind of go away and just look at the way that you affect other people, and then to come back next week and let's talk a little bit about it. So that is the question of the week. The last thing that I'm going to do this week. Thank you so much for the call. Always appreciate you, of course, as well. Last thing I'm going to do this week is just tell you I have something that I'm offering to you guys, and that is this. In the Discord, I've created a new role. It's called the coaching cohort, because I like alliteration. If you want to be in that group, please let me know. It's a role. When I send out development stuff, I will at that role. That way, I'm not adding everyone all the time. I know that's a nuisance. Everybody hates it. But I want to at these people, because if you're intentional, if you want to be intentional about getting better, about doing better, about being better, then I want to be able to communicate with you, right? And I don't want to have to communicate with everybody individually, because I'm terrible at things, and I'll lose track of you all. But I want to encourage you to let me know. I put a post in general in the Discord. You can react to that post. You can DM me individually, whatever it takes. Get
Yes.
in touch with me. Let me know. Okay, that's also fine. Just let me know that you want to be a part of that, right? Secondly, sign me up. Okay, Mitch, will do. I think I already did, actually. Secondly, I'm going to be offering, and this is an extremely limited. I mean, I'm literally going to be able to take a very, very small handful of people, but I'm going to be offering 3 months of one-on-one coaching to a very limited number of people who are in that group, right? I can't guarantee it's going to be everybody because I don't know how big that group is going to be. Eventually, I would hope to rotate through everybody in that group, but 3 months, 90 days of one-on-one coaching. I'm talking about, and I'm still in development of the program, but I'm talking about at the very least a 1 hour call, a 1 hour one-on-one call every week, where I walk you through the framework of deciding what your next step is going to be in whatever arena it is, whether it's relationship, whether it's streaming, whether it's whatever, what your next thing is, and then helping you find structures to get you there, right? 90 days. In 90 days, we're going to make one improvement in your life and hopefully help you build frameworks to say, I can repeat this with other areas of my life. How much? Mitch, I will be offering that, again, to a very limited number of people, completely free, absolutely free of charge. I will not be charging for that. And the reason for that is you're a group of people that have already given a ton to me. You've already, given me so much value and so much support and so much love that this is something that I do professionally for other people that I want to be able to give back to you for free. Now, there will be some other opportunities potentially for paid coaching in the future if people are interested in that. But just as kind of an introductory thing, or is that not an introductory thing? That makes it sound like a pyramid scheme. It's not what it is. But just as a kind of a special one-time thing for people who want to get into that coaching cohort now, and I will not offer it to people who come in after the fact. So even if people come into that group after we're done with this book, I will not be offering this to them. This is a special thing just for you guys. So if that's something that you would be interested in, please DM me, and we'll talk more about it and see what the timing is right. So it's kind of your one-time deal, $99.99. No, definitely not. Kind of a first come first serve thing right now. So if it's important to you, hit me up because when I hit whatever I decide my capacity is, I won't be able to offer it anymore. And again, I'll hopefully do it again in the future. But for right now, this is what it is. That is it, guys. Listen, sign me up after the Christmas rush. Yeah, it sounds valuable. I mean, if you were to put a value on it, I will tell you, if you wanted to say, hey, what is that worth? For a professional, the same level of coaching for a professional, I would charge them about $1,500 for 90 days. So you could say it's a $1,500 value there, if you want to put a price tag on it, but it's not really about that. 4 easy payments of $24.95. True. That's it, guys. Listen, I want to say, as always, I love you guys. There's no one in this group that I just haven't had a tremendous personal love for. Oh gosh. I missed one. Hold on. Sunshine said, that thing about saying you tried your best, I agree wholeheartedly. It doesn't grant the achievement needed to be actually be successful. I love that. I love that. We need to be hard on ourselves about encouraging people. It needs to be a discipline. Hope, faith, love. These are not emotions. These are disciplines. We have to build disciplines in our lives, and we build disciplines by building habits, and we build habits by building mindsets. We build mindsets by having mind shifts, and that's the stream for this week, guys. Listen, parting thought. You've got a moment of greatness. Everybody's got a moment of greatness, even that fly. No, all humans have a moment of greatness waiting for them. It's not coming for you. You have to go to it. Go and be great. I love you guys. I'll talk to you again next time.